So just to close the loop on the bit about the metastasis of profiling, all of the communities I've talked about, environmentalists, radicals, African Americans, Latino Americans, Muslims, Arabs, South Asians, we all share interests in the abstract rights that protect us all. And for too long, over the last 10 years, we've been fighting separate struggles. Henry Louis Gates gets arrested for getting into his own home, and we end up having a beer summit behind the White House. There's no discussion about profiling. And when there is a discussion about profiling, it's profiling in a particular context. It's Oscar Grant getting shot in the back by a BART cop on the train station in Oakland, right? It's the Latino population in Arizona. But think about it in more abstract terms. It's not just any particular community, it's all of us. It's not just any set of police authorities, it's all of them. It is a problem in the abstract, which affects all of us. And to isolate the problem in a particular context leaves rhetorical cards on the table. So right now, I want to talk about individualized suspicion. That's why we have a constitution. That's the mission. The Bill of Rights was a quilt that we're still stitching. We got communities making democracy in the kitchen, but now we're switching to a new paradigm. People, all kinds, find ourselves in a time when our society swerves from one line to another, like down the street. We managed to install a brother while Arizona passes a law to shutter the state out of a parent hate. How far have we fallen since 2008? You can hope that fate takes us to a brighter day, but if the arcs of the universe have breaks, what do you say? I'm talking about individual rights. Whether police agencies have in their sights the duty to serve and protect using agents' eyes or by profiling Latinos to terrorize. We got institutions abusing the Constitution, pulling wool over eyes of we the people, illusions. There are solutions, but we're all complicit. Every day we don't raise our voices. What is it that we're waiting for? What's in store? How far can freedom fall before we hit the floor? This is an era that demands of us much more. We must get out of our chairs. Right there's the door. These rights we all share, as well as the abuses. The wars on natives and blacks were the first fuses. Dick Cheney hates Latinos and Muslims. We're muses for the rise of the right wing, fascism's nooses. I'm talking about individual rights. Whether the FBI has in its sights the duty to serve and protect using agents' eyes or by profiling Muslims to terrorize entire communities Arizona forced to flee. The Civil War amendments were supposed to make us free, but today, in the 21st century, what do we see? A devolution of our country's guarantees. The dissolution of rights leaves us all on our knees. Confusion and fright, we're all pleading pleas for courts and agencies to constrain police, but yo, we can take this debate to the streets. The social contract remains incomplete, but a new generation ready to make heat. Rise to your feet. Don't take no for an answer. Profiling by race, religion, speech is a cancer. I'm talking about individual rights. Whether our Constitution has in its sights tools that we can use to stay free, or will through profiling our country succumb to tyranny. Word. I appreciate that. So I know I've been a little depressing so far. I'm going to try to leave you on a high note. But we're not quite to the transition point yet, because I want to make sure some of this stuff sticks, right? So I was just talking about tyranny. And we pride ourselves in living in a democracy, right? The leader of the free world, America, introduced democracy to the world in our era, and we trade on that legacy constantly. But just think for a brief minute what that means. Now, I mean, we ripped on it before with respect to disenfranchisement, formally here in the district. How many DC residents do we have in the house? Make some noise if you live in the district. You better make some noise in the district, because that's the only way you're going to get heard. So me and my fellow disenfranchised DC residents, that's an obvious indication of how democracy has been derogated. And we're talking tonight with respect to these constitutional abuses, another way in which democracy has been derogated. I want to hear again from everybody in here who voted in 2008 for change we could believe in. Where is it at, y'all? The inability of our institutional establishment to recognize and implement a popular electoral mandate is yet a third way in which our democracy has been compromised. There is no responsiveness institutionally to electoral accountability. And let's talk about a fourth way. Specifically with respect to transparency, one of the defining elements of democracies versus authoritarian regimes is the extent to which the government is transparent. How much do we know what is happening in our name? And to what extent is there accountability for potential abuses, right? Transparency is a threshold, accountability is more robust. You have to have both for a functioning democracy. We, unfortunately, have neither. Just this week, I mentioned how the case that was challenging the CIA's extraordinary rendition program was thrown out of the Ninth Circuit, the same circuit to which Jay Bybee was appointed with a lifetime seat. Anybody smell corruption in here? Right? There is a problem, a breakdown in the structural functioning of our republic. How is it that Democrats and Republicans vote in Congress, united for essentially a unanimous vote last year to extend the Patriot Act? Does everybody remember the Patriot Act? It's been around for 10 years. You know what we know about the FBI's use of Patriot Act powers? Very little. What we do know is that they've abused them every time anyone's checked. 2006, 2008, again in 2010. Internal government watchdogs, the Inspector General of the Justice Department, releases 3 separate reports finding wanton, pervasive, systemic abuses of Patriot Act powers by the FBI. What's happening right now? Anybody know? It's a power grab. The FBI, with the Obama White House's support, is seeking further powers to gain, through national security letters, without judicial warrants, access to electronic transaction data. What does that mean? Your email metadata. We already know the NSA is monitoring your emails, but now we know that the FBI is trying independently to gain access to the information of who you write, when, for how long. Is there an attachment to the email, and how big is it? They can't read the email, but through metadata you can learn a lot, especially when you consider that metadata includes browsing history. So just to sum that up, the Patriot Act gives whole new powers to the FBI, which it abuses with impunity, and then seeks more powers, which the Obama White House seems inclined to give it. And this is Democrats and Republicans alike, yet another way in which our democracy has failed us. There aren't electoral opportunities to express your wish at the national level, and once I spit this rhyme, I'm going to come back to that and offer you a little glimmer of hope in the midst of all this darkness. First, you get hooded. Cuffed so you couldn't budge. They take you to a cell. There's no lawyer. There's no judge. It doesn't matter what you did or didn't do if there's a nudge, any reason anyone might have to give a nudge. Because once you're in custody by authorities, you are done, son, because agencies presume guilt by association. You better confess, or it will be a hellish situation. There was a time our nation offered the world inspiration. Now our policies encourage human rights violations. They push you off a plane, you can't tell if it's night or day. You don't know where you are, you've never been there anyway, but here, at Camp X-Ray, for years, you will stay. Welcome to the Terrorizing Gitmo, Bagram. The president changes, but abuses go on. We don't apply the law equally until we jail John Yoo and imprison Jay Bybee. So check it out, millions of Americans rot in jails. A quarter of our planet's prisoners, males, females shackled to a gurney while giving birth. If you're lucky, you might have scraped break first. There's violence committed by guards, prison gangs, entire enterprises to smuggle different things, but the one thing you won't find in any jail is justice. The courts, the judges, the system says, trust us. Look close and you'll see different rules. It's mass incarceration for most of us schools, but the officials who authorize torture as a tool get paid to make new laws and teach at public schools. Welcome to the Terrorizing Gitmo, Bagram. The president changes, but abuses go on. We can't apply the law equally until we jail John Yoo and imprison Judge Bybee. They blindfold you, put you on a table strapped down. There's a doctor in the corner, make sure you won't drown. You'll breathe only water until they bring you around. The whole world is listening, but never hears a sound. For days at a time, they won't let you sleep or even sit or stand, or sit or lie down. You must stand on your feet. No one can visit you because there aren't any roads. When you pray, they throw your holy books in the commode. What happens to you? No one anywhere really knows. I hate to say this to you, y'all, but America wants more war. And it shows. Allegations, evidence of abuse grows and grows, turning hearts and minds abroad into our newest rounds of foes. Welcome to the Terrorizing Bagram, Gitmo. The president changes, but we already know that we won't apply the law equally until we jail John Yoo and imprison Dick Cheney.